Alright everyone, buckle up. Today we're not just talking about guns. We're diving into a world of fire, steel, and raw human ingenuity. We're going to travel through the mud-filled trenches of one global conflict, feel the biting cold of a besieged city, get swept up in the lawless chaos of American prohibition, and step into the silent, high-stakes world of modern counterterrorism. We're talking about the machines that became legends not on paper, but in the heat of real battle and on the mean streets of history. We're talking about submachine guns. But before we fire the first shot, do me a huge favor. If you're fascinated by weapons engineering, the pivotal moments of history, or just epic tales of human problem-solving, hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. It's the best way to support this channel and fuel these deep dives. And most importantly, drop a comment below telling me which legendary firearm you want me to dissect next. You're in the driver's seat. Now let's get into it. Picture hell. Not a mythical one, but a real earthly one. The year is 1916, the Western Front of the Great War, World War I. Miles upon miles of trenches, filled with mud, tangled in barbed wire, reeking of death and cordite. An attack isn't some glorious charge. It's a slow, agonizing crawl across no man's land into a hailstorm of machine gun fire. And it was here, in this inferno, that an idea was born. The idea of a weapon for point-blank fighting in confined spaces. A weapon one man could carry that could spit out a storm of lead at close range. And so, from the womb of the most terrible war the world had yet seen, the submachine gun was born. This debut was like a flash of lightning. The Germans, desperately seeking a way to break the stalemate, armed their elite assault units, the Stoßtruppen, with a new tool, the MP-18, the brainchild of Hugo Schmeisser. It wasn't yet a masterpiece, but it was a revolution. Compact, using a pistol cartridge capable of fully automatic fire. A soldier with an MP-18 would storm into an enemy trench like a demon, clearing the way with grenades and short, controlled bursts. It was a shock. And though Germany lost the war, the genie was out of the bottle. The whole world saw the future of infantry lay in automatic weapons. But the path to perfection was long. So, holding this starting point in mind, the filthy trenches of 1918, let's leap forward in time to an even greater hell. The hell of the Great Patriotic War, World War II. And here, within the fiery ring of the blockade of Leningrad, under conditions that are hard to even imagine, was born arguably the finest submachine gun of that war. Its creator's name was Alexei Ivanovich Sudiev. To understand the genius of the PPS-43, you have to understand the context. A nation pushed to its absolute limit. Metal, machine tools, skilled labor, everything was stretched thin. They needed weapons. Lots of weapons. Simple as a hammer, reliable as a crowbar, and as effective as death itself. The PPSH, the Papasha, was good, but it was somewhat heavy, cumbersome in a trench or tank, and relatively expensive to produce. Sudiev, a young designer, set himself a task. Create a weapon for the city, for urban combat, for scouts, paratroopers, tank crews. And he created an engineering masterpiece. The entire body was made from stamped steel parts, welded together. Minimal drilling, minimal complex machining. Imagine, the main components were literally punched out of sheet metal like cookies from dough and then spot welded. You could produce this weapon almost in a basement, and indeed it was produced in besieged Leningrad itself in factories with German bombers flying overhead. Its weight? Just 3,670 grams loaded. That's a full kilogram lighter than the PPSH. It was shorter, with a folding metal stock that didn't snag on everything. The mechanism? Beautifully simple. Straight blowback operation. A shot is fired, the casing pushes the bolt back, it ejects the spent round, compresses the spring, and on its return it feeds a new cartridge. No unnecessary complexity. But the genius is in the details. It had a slow rate of fire, about 600 rounds per minute. Why is that a plus? Because it conserved precious ammunition and allowed an experienced soldier, with a short, controlled press of the trigger, to deliver accurate single shots. And it used a powerful cartridge, the 7.62 by 25mm Tokarev, the same round as the TT pistol. At a distance of 200 meters, It retained lethal force and could penetrate winter clothing and light cover. The muzzle brake was simply a cut in the barrel shroud, which reduced muzzle climb and flash. It was the perfect close-quarters weapon of the 1940s. Scouts loved it. Tank crews adored it. Partisans were equipped with it. Historical context. After the war, the PPS spread across the globe. It was copied in Finland, Poland, and China. And you know what's most astonishing? Its simplicity made it a favorite weapon of underground gunsmiths all over the world. That's right. The blueprints for the PPS are so straightforward it can be manufactured in a basic workshop, which has happened repeatedly in various conflict zones. That is the highest compliment to a designer. When your weapon works even when there are no factories left, only will and ingenuity. In total, about 2 million were produced. And I'm certain if someone had told Alexei Ivanovich that his creation, born in the nightmare of the siege, would become such a massive and recognizable symbol of the victorious soldier, he would have quietly smiled. It was the Soviet Union's answer to the demands of total war, not elegant but lethally efficient. Now a sharp change of scenery. We're crossing the ocean into a different era. America, the roaring 20s. Prohibition, the rise of organized crime, gangsters in pinstripe suits and fedoras, the sound of jazz, and the characteristic chatter of the Tommy gun, the Thompson submachine gun. If the PPS is an ascetic soldier, the Thompson is a gangster in an expensive suit. It wasn't born in the trenches, but in the minds of businessmen and generals dreaming of a trench broom. Its creator, General John Taliaferro Thompson, wanted to build the perfect weapon for clearing enemy trenches. But the war ended, and his brainchild found no buyers in the military. Instead, it was embraced with open arms by criminals. Why? Because it was the Rolls-Royce of submachine guns. It was expensive, complex, heavy, almost 4,700 grams, but incredibly imposing and reliable. Its operating mechanism was unique, the Blish system with a delayed blowback action. Inside was a special bronze H-piece that used friction to slow the bolt's travel. This allowed it to handle the powerful .45 ACP pistol cartridge. The bullet from this round was heavy and slow, but at close range it hit like a sledgehammer with tremendous stopping power. Its accuracy and controllability were phenomenal for the time. An economic paradox. During the Great Depression, a Tommy gun was costly, around $200. That's like several thousand today. Only police departments or successful gangsters like Al Capone could afford it. It became the icon of an era. Its recognizable profile with the cylindrical cuts compensator, the wooden foregrip and pistol grip, that distinctive sound, all became part of pop culture. But don't think it was just a gangster's tool. When America entered World War II, the Thompson found its place in the hands of Marines, paratroopers, and squad leaders. Yes, it was more expensive and harder to produce than the mass-produced M3 grease gun. But its reliability and sheer firepower were valued by those heading into the worst fighting. It served in the Pacific jungles, the cold of Korea, and the humid forests of Vietnam. And you know what's fascinating? The legend lives on. The American company Auto Ordnance still produces a civilian, semi-automatic version of it. And for the pleasure of holding a piece of history, even one that doesn't fire full auto, people are willing to pay $1,500 or more. The Thompson isn't just a weapon. It's an artifact, a symbol of an entire era of American history, from the speakeasies of bootleggers to the black sands of Iwo Jima. Having circled half the globe, we now return to Europe. But not to a war-torn Europe, to a post-war, rebuilt, prosperous Germany. The 1960s. The world had changed. NATO and Warsaw Pact armies faced off. But a new threat emerged: terrorism. Aircraft hijackings, the Munich Olympics massacre. A new kind of weapon was needed, not for battlefield warfare, but for the cramped cabins of airliners, for urban hostage rescue operations. It demanded jeweler-like precision, Swiss watch reliability, and compactness. The answer came from the company Heckler & Koch. Their answer was the HK MP5. This was a different philosophy. If the PPS was about simplicity and the Thompson about raw power, the MP5 was about high technology and precision. Its operation used a roller-delayed blowback system, a complex but incredibly effective mechanism borrowed from their own G3 battle rifle. This allowed it to fire from a closed bolt. What does that mean? When you're ready to shoot, the bolt is already forward, in battery. You pull the trigger, bang, an immediate shot. This increases the accuracy of that first, most crucial shot, especially in semi-auto mode. Its rate of fire was around 800 rounds per minute, but thanks to its mass and balanced design, it was remarkably controllable. It was initially chambered for the 9x19mm Parabellum, the standard NATO pistol and submachine gun cartridge. But the key was quality. German quality. Impeccable machining, tight tolerances, lightweight polymer components. Felt like a precision instrument. Special forces units around the world fell in love with it. The British SAS, Germany's GSG-9, the FBI HRT, and US Navy SEALs. Why? Because it never failed. Its accuracy was such that you could confidently engage targets at 100 meters with single shots, and in automatic fire it grouped rounds tightly. You could fit it with a suppressor, optics, laser aimers. It became the workhorse of counterterrorism. The historical analysis here is key. The MP5 emerged at a time when many were declaring the submachine gun obsolete, to be replaced by compact assault rifles. But Heckler & Koch proved the niche existed. The niche for operations where minimal overpenetration risk was vital. The 9mm pistol round is less likely to overpenetrate than a rifle round. For supreme compactness, for the ability to fire indoors without deafening blast, and for discreet carry. It remains in service with over 50 countries to this day. And while newer designs like the HK MP7 have emerged, the MP5 will forever remain the icon, the gold standard against which all special operations submachine guns are measured. So here they are. 3 legends, 3 different destinies, 3 philosophies of design. The PPS-43 is the philosophy of survival. Minimum of everything, maximum efficiency under extreme constraints. The weapon of the people, the soldier's tool in a desperate situation. Genius born of limitation. The Thompson is the philosophy of presence and image. Expensive, imposing, iconic. It was a tool of crime, a tool of law, and a faithful companion to the Marine. A symbol of power and charisma. The HK MP5 is the philosophy of high-end professionalism. A weapon not for the mass conscript, but for the elite specialist. Precision, reliability, technological excellence. A tool for surgical work. Each of them, in its own time, redefined what an individual automatic weapon could be. They marched through the most terrible conflicts of the 20th century and became part of their fabric. They are more than just assemblies of metal. They are imprints of the eras that forged them. So what do you think? Which of these legends gets your vote and why? Did I miss a pivotal submachine gun that deserves its own epic deep dive? The comment section is yours. Let me know. Your input is what makes this community great. And if this journey through the history of fire and engineering gripped you, do those 2 simple things. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss the next story. Because the world of firearms is a never-ending book, and you and I have just turned one absolutely thrilling page. Until next time.